What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream, and it's Friday then. It's Saturday, Sunday, No more international football, people. Premier League action is back. Arsenal against Everton. Hope everyone is well. Happy Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. Big up everyone locked in. Make sure you lick down that like button. See you, Nick. Make sure you're locked in, people. And new merch to celebrate. I know I'm moving like Ty, but I'm doing it purely for the sake of the content, you know. I'm just doing it to, make the content look a little bit more authentic. Although I've just spilt some water on me just before starting. But it is what it is, people. We're here. We're active. Hope you're all well on this Friday, and press conference reaction is back. We're going to talk a little bit of transfer news as well, and we'll also be talking team news, some injury concerns for Arsenal, and we'll get through it. Quick hour and watch-alongs this weekend, people. Big up to everyone locked in. Friday business, you know how it goes. And big up everyone locked in, morning, afternoon, evening, depending where you are in the world. Hendon Gunnar, afternoon Curtis Shaw TV, all the C Unit crew. Everton season starts on Sunday. Santa Claus are coming to town. I mean, listen, please. That narrative has to change. This cannot be Santa Claus FC. If we turn up at this Everton and get beat, I mean, is it ever going to happen? Everton, 4 games, 3 defeats, 1 draw, 2 goals scored, 8 goals conceded. They have the 3rd worst defence. They are the joint lowest goal scorers. They sold Iwobi. Calvert-Lewin's injured. I mean, listen, if you can't beat them, I mean, we'll speak to Daishi later, mate. Listen, I tell you what, mate, I don't care how bad Everton are, mate. We eat bricks, we eat wood, we eat concrete. If they turn up with Kai Havertz in midfield, oh, it's going to be like an all-you-can-eat restaurant. We'll chew him up and spit him out. I'll turn up with a proper team, or we're going to hammer you, mate. We're going to hammer you. There you go, little interlude there from Daichi, you know. But anyway, let's hope we beat them, because Sean Dyche with Decore, Anana, the narrative. You know how the narrative goes. Yeah, Iwobi's gone to Fulham. He's gone to Fulham, so it's crazy. If we can't beat this Everton team, then forget winning the Premier League. The narrative has to change, man. Big up DJ Breeze. Shout out all the Bermuda Gunners. Just dodged a cat-free hurricane. Survived and ready for Sunday. Big up yourself, man. Smooth one, Jar. Clicked on the stream and Daesh is on here fuming. Anyway, let's get into the show, people. That's enough of me waffling. There'll be plenty of waffle from Arteta in the press conference reaction. We need to stop Dyche, Paul. Listen, let's face it. If we go to Everton and play properly, we will beat them. If we go there and allow them to turn it into the type of game they want, we will struggle. Yeah, Damari Gray's left as well. He's gone Saudi for the bag. He scored that winner, as Lawrence was saying. So what more do you want? They might have Neil Maupay up front. I know they bought the Brazilian boy, Beto. Yeah, they got Ashley Young. I mean, they should call him Ashley Old. Forget Ashley Young. That's Ashley Old. But I'm confident we'll win. But if ever there was a game where, the narrative, let's put it this way, it's all written for us to go there and not win, if you know what I mean. 4:30 kickoff, Super Sunday, everyone's played, everyone's watching, Sean Dyche, direct, physical game, and somehow it goes wrong. We need to change that narrative. So anyway, let's have a look how that goes. Big up Clement. Big up everyone saying no notification. YouTube, what have I done? What's going on here? Make sure you click the notification bell, though, people, and click all so that you're notified for every single video. If you haven't, then if you have and they're still not notifying, I need to be having words, people. Big up Clement in the cut as well. Hope you're well. Let's get 1,000 likes on this video sooner rather than later. Lawrence says Declan Rice changes things for us. I hope so. I really hope so. This is actually the last time that we will play Everton in the Premier League at Goodison Park. Next season, they'll be in their new stadium. I think it's a 60,000 all-seater. I suppose the question for Everton fans will be, will they be in the Premier League or the Championship? Darren said this will be a game Everton turn up and players that never scored in 20 years will hit a screamer. You know it, by the way, my brother is a Toffees fan. Yes, and it'll be interesting for you and your brother. But yeah, Santa Claus has to stop. Palumi said, yo, Curtis, what's good, my bro? I've always wanted to correct you about something. You keep saying Pepe made his debut against Burnley. He didn't. He made his debut against Liverpool. Home debut. Home debut. Forgive me, but, I appreciate you correcting me. The Havertz thing changes things for us, Big C. It does. It definitely does. The interesting thing is, will Arteta start Kai Havertz? I know I'm gonna talk about the team selection a little bit later on in the show. I reckon 99.9% of you in the comments would say Havertz on the bench. There's plenty of options. I mean, did anybody see Trossard's goal for Belgium? What a goal that was, man. He went past 3 or 4 players and just slapped it in the top corner. I've said many times, I like the fact we've got a good squad and good players on the bench. There's something about Havertz that makes me think this guy should be in the team somewhere. I just don't know where you fit him in. Could you play him in that Havertz role? He played there pre-season a couple of times. You've got Smith Rowe, who's hardly kicked a ball. You've got Fabio Vieira, who's played really well the last couple of times he's come on. You've also got Jorginho, if you want to go to the regular 2. Jorginho, well, it's usually would be Partey and Rice, but Partey's out. You could play Jorginho and Rice with Odegaard in front just to give us that extra stability. I still have a feeling, in fact, I better not do that. It's that's a high note. I don't want to go for it. But I've got a feeling Kai Havertz will start, people. I've genuinely got a feeling he'll start, but we'll see. Definitely worried about Saka's health, especially since he'll be playing in 2 competitions in the next 3 weeks. You're right. Hole Up said, Bossard, I love how he scores world-class goals and has no reaction. I mean, at the most, you get a bit of that from him. That's all you're getting. Raul said, Big C, get off Havertz, let him play at least 10 games. 10 games, Raul, of Havertz playing like that, title race will be over. Simple. We play Man City, Chelsea, I think Liverpool and Tottenham in the next 10 games. If he keeps playing like that, forget it. If he can turn things around, maybe. But when you're going up against Man City, you ain't got 10 games to figure things out. This ain't a competition where we can mess about. You got to hit the ground running. 10 performances like we've seen in the first 4, title race will be done. So 10 games, I don't know about that. But anyway, let's get into today's show, people. Lots to talk about. Press conference reaction. Keep putting your comments in. We'll do some polls. You know what? Let's get the first poll of the day. More polls than an ATL strip club, people. The first poll, not your opinion on whether you would. Do you think Mikel will? Do you think Kai Havertz will start against Everton? This is the first poll of the day. And like I said, not whether you would play him. Do you think Arteta's going to stick by him? Because I think Arteta will dress this up as we're unbeaten. He's only been here for 4 games. He's still figuring out the way we play. I think he will very much try and play him. Do you think Havertz will start against Everton? Because we know this manager's very stubborn. I think it's very interesting. He's trying to play him into form. But, it can't be at the demise of the team, For me, Havertz should play against teams who are physical, says Machiavelli. That's interesting. And Everton are physical. Zhao said we will need Havertz. He will, unfortunately, says Greg. Miguel said, Big C, do you think Arteta is punishing us with Havertz as we used to moan about Xhaka? Well, maybe. Karma, And Jashar said, big up Curtis, Arteta will stick with Havertz like he stuck with Xhaka. We need to give it 5 years, then he'll reach the level. Just the 5 years, then he'll get there. The one positive thing I can say for Havertz, he had a good 20, 30-minute spell off the bench for Germany against France, where actually William Saliba had a pretty poor game, if I'm being honest. So, anyway, let's talk Arsenal and let's talk about Benny Blanco, a.k.a. Benjamin White, right back / centre back. Arsenal are planning to open discussions with Ben White over fresh terms. His existing contract has just under 3 years left to run, but there is an understanding at Arsenal that White should be rewarded, with talks over new terms expected to get underway in a matter of weeks. Ben White currently earns £120,000 a week. His new deal is expected to be around £170,000 a week. So 50 grand a week pay rise for Ben White. I mean, listen, it's a show of faith. You know, you expect this as a player. When you do well, your contract gets renewed. They're doing it very early, but I'm not going to complain about that, because for a long time I complained that we waited until the last year of players' contracts before trying to renew. Ben White was a player that, listen, I'm going to be totally honest, when we first signed him, I thought £50 million for him was a lot. And interestingly enough, he's ended up as a better right back than he has as a centre back at Arsenal. But let's give him his credit. He deserves a new contract. He's done very well at Arsenal. I thought he was one of the best right backs in the Premier League last year. A little bit towards the end of the season, he faded. I think not a natural right back, but 25 years of age. Another player that we should be building the team around. Joey Essex, aka Benny Blanco. So yeah, I'm happy with this. I think he deserves it, and he's been very good for us. Wow, Vernon, this is an interesting one. He's come in on pure smoke. He said we play better when he's not on the pitch. Although, are you talking about Ben White or are you talking about Havertz there? 50 mil for Ben White in this market is a steal. Well, it is now. Boss J said White has been crucial, deserves the new contract. I would agree with you. I would. I think him and Saka have created a fantastic partnership on that right-hand side. I think Saka looks a better player when Ben White is in the team. And listen, credit to him. He's not in the England setup at the moment. Obviously, the rumour was that he fell out with the assistant manager of England, had a bust-up. But, you know, I don't mind. I don't mind, you know, during international break, a lot of these guys, you know, get injured or waste their time and don't play anyway. So, listen, fair play to Ben White, 170 grand a week. Love Island contestant Benny. He's got a super tan. The B-Tech Joey Essex, he deserves it. Ream settings, definitely. But listen, I'm happy for him. And listen, I hope he plays at right back this weekend. Plenty of rest. International break. Doesn't have to play. Keep him fresh. Maybe won't even go to the Euros, which is a shame for him. But, you know, will probably work in Arsenal's favour. So congrats. And I think it's the right decision by the club. South London's fine. He said, Big C, with his current situation with England, do you think he could struggle to sell him for that premium English tax? I've got no doubt that Ben White will have an England future, because the reality is Gareth Southgate's not going to be the long-term England manager. I'll be shocked if Southgate is the England manager after the Euros next year. Unless England win it and he continues, I think Southgate will get moved on. And I don't think any new manager would ignore Ben White. He can play right back. He can play centre back. He's good on the ball. Plays for one of the best teams in the country. He's 25. Why would he not be in the squad? Listen, he had a fallout with the assistant. We know how it goes. We've all been in work environments. You fall out with someone, you know, near the top of the food chain, it's going to have an effect on you. So once Southgate goes, Ben White will get game time. Static said, Curtis, the rumours are true, though, about Ben White falling out with the assistant coach during last year's World Cup. Why has White not apologised? Listen, sometimes, you know, I know it's always the player. The player ultimately is always the one who misses out, because you look at Sancho at Man United at the moment, he hasn't apologised. But he doesn't feel he's got anything to apologise for. Neither does Ben White. He obviously feels whatever that assistant manager did, he's in the wrong. And now the assistant would go. Usually the manager would come in and bring his own assistant in. So I think he'll be gone anyway. So big up Ben White. New contract. Apparently a 4-year deal with a 1-year option. 170 grand a week. And good news for Arsenal and Ben White. And tying down our main players, which is obviously the right thing to do. And these players are at a great age as well to be renewed and built around. So, you know, it's great news for Arsenal. Part 2 of pretty much the same story. One that we spoke about the other day, but just going to go over it quickly. Pap said Ben White is overrated. No, I think Ben White's solid. Don't get me wrong. I don't put Ben White in the sort of category of right back as like Reece James and that kind of right back, and Walker and Trent. He's different. He's a centre-back playing at right back. He'll give you a different kind of thing out there. He's a very good defender. He's going to win his headers. Yeah, going forward, he's not going to bomb on the way that a lot of these modern day fullbacks do. And you've seen at times Rashford's and one or two others have troubled him, but he's solid, man. I don't have no problem with him. Arsenal are now increasingly confident of tying captain Martin Odegaard to a new long-term contract, believed to be 5 years, potentially with an option of a sixth. This will get him around £200,000 a week. Spoke about this a lot the other day, so I'm not going to talk about it too much today. I said in the last couple of shows it was about time that I gave Martin Odegaard a lot of praise, because I now think you're looking at... He's up there as the best player at Arsenal. Some people in the comments saying he is the best player at Arsenal. But he's certainly up there. He's the one who creates. He's becoming a leader in a different way. I don't think he's going to run around shouting and screaming at people. But he is Mr. Give me the ball and I will make something happen. And I respect players like that massively. Big reason I used to love Cesc Fabregas at Arsenal, and Odegaard for me is becoming a top football player. And to get him, you're now looking at Ramsdale, Saliba, Gabriel, Ben White, Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, all signing new deals. That is the future of Arsenal there. So an absolutely brilliant player. And like I said, when you look at the lack of value in the transfer market and what players are going for, to get this lad for £35 million is ridiculous. I think he's probably worth... he's worth more than double. He could be worth up to 100 million, to be honest. In the modern market, we're paying 100 million nowadays for defensive midfielders and wingers that have had 20 games in the Ukrainian league, with Mudryk. So, he's worth a fortune. He's worth an absolute fortune. But tying him down to a long-term contract is great news. Martin Odegaard, a fantastic player. Let me end this poll on Havertz. 87% of you, it's dropped to 85. 85% of you think that Havertz will start against Everton. Which, I think says a lot about how stubborn we think the manager is. And listen, I saw Raul commenting on it earlier in the show. I fully understand from a business point of view. Big up Laser Gaming in the chat as well. I hope you're well, bro. Mikel Arteta has stuck his neck on the line for Havertz. Make no mistake about it. Said it at the start of the season, I'll say it again. Havertz is the riskiest signing of Mikel Arteta's entire tenure as Arsenal manager. Because of the price, because of the reputation of him, because of the fact he came from Chelsea, and because of the lack of position that he's failed to sort of nail down. He's not a certified 10 or an 8 or a winger or a striker. He can play everywhere, but how good does he play everywhere? This signing is incredibly risky. Now, he didn't sign Pepe. Pepe was Emery's signing. So I think he will continue to force him and try. Because listen, Havertz will have a game where a ball falls to him and he'll slot it in the corner. And we'll be going, Havertz has scored. This is the start of him. So I think he's kind of playing him until something happens. Let's hope it's not to the detriment of the team, So we'll see. Luxury signing, totally unnecessary. Do you know what, Sakin? Somebody said this to me the other day, and I understand the sentiment behind it. I don't think he is a luxury signing, because to me, I look at a luxury signing as maybe you don't put that much work rate in, but when you get the ball, you can perform some magic. People said towards the end, Ozil's a luxury signing because he doesn't work hard enough. But on the ball, he might play a pass that rips you apart. But the thing is, when Havertz gets on the ball, there ain't even no luxury there. This ain't no 7-star hotel in Dubai. Do you know what I'm saying? This is an ibis. This ain't no top level hotel. So I don't even think it's a luxury signing. It's an unnecessary signing. But again, what can we do? We've got no option. I have to sit here and wait and see if it works. So that's all we can do. It doesn't even feel like luxury. Havertz is versatile, equally bad in every position. Yeah, we were upset with Odegaard sometimes, but I've never seen him not fighting on the pitch. That's a huge difference to Havertz, and I would take the L. Proud if he turns out to be good. So listen, I've said it all the time. I hope Havertz shuts me up. I got to eat humble pie, put him on the green screen, shamelessly say I always rated him like Eros is saying. I hope nothing more. I hope he shuts me up and he starts balling and we can start, laughing at Chelsea for selling him. But right now, I've got no ammunition to work with, people. I can't lie, but all we can do is hope. That's all we can do. Big up Young Gunner with the super chat. We talk about the striker market being poor. To get a quality attacking midfielder at the right age is expensive. Jorginho plus Rice in midfield for now. Yeah, you're right. That attacking midfield market isn't easy either. You look at De Bruyne, who's probably the best. He's 31 years of age. Paying resort tax, and it's not even a resort. I'm telling you, man, that ain't luxury, people. But anyway, I need to stop. Jeffrey said he's a Ramdeuter, a space interpreter in the mold of Thomas Muller. That's how we have to use him. Well, let's try. Somebody who's on his way out of the club, and I won't say too much yet. You obviously will know about this story, but this man, Vinay Venkatesham. Arsenal chief executive Vinay to exit his role next summer, joined in 2010, made CEO in 2020, well regarded in football, chose to seek a new challenge. Interim period gives Arsenal time to succession plan. Business as usual until then. Vinay, been at the club for 14 years. I think you could argue the past 14 years has been one of our worst periods potentially ever, depending on what your age is. If you're in your teens, 20s or 30s, probably the last decade, maybe not the last 2 or 3 years, but prior to that, has been some of the worst time probably you've ever seen at Arsenal. Listen, he gets some credit for getting a few decent sponsorship deals and things like that. But for me, I got to say it as it is. I don't know everything that this guy does. So maybe there's things he does behind the scenes that, he's doing great work and we don't know about it. But for me, I ain't losing sleep over this. I'm sorry. I remember when Ralph Sanelli was here and he did that interview, when Arsenal knock, it's different. And this guy was chirping next to Vinay. Vinay was chirping next to Raul, saying, this, that, the other, and this is the new Arsenal. Only to find out the Pepe deal was absolutely filthy, had brown envelopes all over it. A year later, I'm back again, rejuvenated with Edu, and we're going in this direction and a roundabout. So for me, well regarded in football, they said. I mean, I don't know who regards him highly in football, because I don't. So I've got no problem. I don't think this guy has done a particularly great job at all. One of the biggest football clubs in the world. We're still shocking at selling players, letting players go left, right and centre, terminating their contract, can't get a penny for them. And he was part of that. He was part of that regime under Gazidis that was signing players off stupid stats, Nah, not for me. I think he's a shambles. I'm glad he's going, and I hope we get somebody better in that role. I'm going to say it as it is, people. I'm going to say it as it is. I don't think he is particularly good at his job, and to be honest, he probably should have gone sooner. But anyway, listen, maybe he's been pushed. Maybe he's been pushed out of the door. Maybe they've said, listen, walk out, but you tell everyone you're leaving. Is he going to get a better job than Arsenal? Anyway, he's off. He's off anyway. So Vinay departs. And I don't rate this guy. This guy signed Mustafi along with Gazidis because apparently the most interceptions in La Liga that season. He signed Mohamed El Neni because El Neni had completed more passes than any other midfielder in Europe. Yeah, you didn't tell us, mate. Most of his passes were backwards and sideways. Oh, look, this guy's completed more passes than anyone in Europe. Sign him. He'll transform our midfield. Oh, yeah, I did that one work out. Yeah, good one. Oh, we're signing Nicolas Pepe to go into a new era. We're breaking the transfer record. Listen, Vinay, good riddance. I say it as it is on here, people. Other channels are available. They'll dress it up. Shambles. Strikes me as a guy, I'm sorry, that knows nothing about football. Could be wrong. Could be totally wrong with this guy. But to me, looks like he knows. Big up my bro Akeem. Showed it. He needed shelling, bro. Guys in here buying man for 72 million, letting him go for free. Terminate. Nah, man, bun him. Get rid of him. Sack him now. Get rid of him. Tell him don't even wait till the summer. Put him on gardening leave and do one. No time for that, mate. I want this club back at the top. To be at the top, we need the best. We need the best manager. We need the best players. We need the best director of football. We need everything. It all accompanies each other, right? That guy needs to go. So that's the last time you'll see him on my screen. Well-regarded fraud, shocking CEO, I think he was meant to put. Big up young gunner. SG said bye-bye Vinay. Well, I'm not gonna give the personal jibe at him. He can look however he wants as long as he delivers. And the brother ain't been delivering at Arsenal, that's for sure. Oh, hey, Curtis, a real one. I'm just for the word. You've got an agenda. He's been part of the rebuild. You know Arteta will be bigging him up, saying how great he is. Put him on gardening leave. Do one. Get him out. Why don't you tell us how you really feel? You know me, my friend. You know me. Curtis transformed into Fitzer. I don't mess about, bro. I ain't here for no messing around. Get Vinay out. Get him gone. We need proper people in here, you know, doing proper jobs. Listen, who replaces him? I'm no expert in that side of football. There are many great CEOs in football that could come in and do a better job than him. So anyway, let's move on before I say too much. I might have already said too much, but you know me, people. I shoot straight from the hip. That brother there is rubbish. Anyway, Charles Watts put a story out saying that Arsenal's next big signing will be a striker in terms of big finances. He's put out a story saying the next big money signing at Arsenal will be a striker. Evan Ferguson is one of the names that he has mentioned. We spoke about him a few times. Listen, my problem straight away with this deal is he plays for Brighton. And when Brighton want big money for a player, they don't usually come to Arsenal, as we've seen. Oh, we're friends with Brighton. We won't bid again for Caicedo. We don't want to upset anyone. 6 months later, he's a Chelsea player, so you might as well have upset them and signed him as well. So, Evan Ferguson, if he gets 15 goals plus this season, you're paying 80, 90, 100 million next summer. Are you willing to spend that much money on a player with 1 year in the Prem? And he's going to cost that because strikers are a premium right now. So I like him. I think he's a good player. But I'm not sure that we would get out of there with that deal, you know. Fugger Main said that CEO is a pork chop. You're not wrong, bro. You're not wrong. Certified swine, that is, I'm telling you. Pork chop settings. Oh, Brighton friends, we don't want to upset you and bid for Ferguson. Listen, do you think when a big club goes to a smaller club and pays big money for their player, do you think that club is happy about it? Unless they think they're bumping you, they say, all right, by any means. But this is the way football has gone over the years. When Liverpool signed Virgil van Dijk, Southampton tried to take Liverpool to court for poaching him, because apparently he had face-to-face meetings with Klopp and it was leaked. So Klopp said, give me your best player. There's your 70 million. Then man said, we're taking you to court. The man said, I don't give a damn. We've signed your best player. I don't care, but we don't need to be friends with Brighton. Take the players off them. It's the food chain. You know how it goes, people. We know how it goes. Them fish, you know, them fish get eaten in the ocean by the sharks. We need to be a shark. So, listen, Ferguson was one of them. He mentioned 3 names. One was Evan Ferguson. We've spoken about all of these. The next one is this lad. A lot of you mentioned him on the stream. I've only watched him a few times. It's Benjamin Sesko. He's a Slovenia international striker. Plays for RB Leipzig. Got 2 goals in 2 games so far this season. He played for RB Salzburg. You know, natural move for the Red Bull company. You move from Salzburg to Leipzig. From Leipzig, then it's a big money move. Very highly rated, 20 years of age. A lot of you were commenting about him. I'll be honest, I don't know loads about him, but I think he would be a cheaper option. Could potentially be bought for around £60 million, 50, 60 mil, similar to what Timo Werner left for. A lot of you saying Sesko is a true gem, Big C. Nimbo said I like him. Bug said he's a baller. Sesko will be cheaper, definitely cheaper. Big up Woo Gunner. He was linked to United as well, says Rowan. So yeah, this is the second one. Tolawani said he's the real deal. Rao said go and get Victor Boniface from Leverkusen, Nigeria, producing some great number 9s. I mean, we're not being linked. But this boy Sesko looks a talent. I've watched some of his highlights. I honestly haven't watched that much of him. But another player we're being linked with, and definitely a cheaper option than Evan Ferguson. And the third one, somebody we spoke about a lot the other day. You bet he's in here. Sorry, I couldn't help it. It's Ivan Toney. It's too easy, isn't it, to do a betting joke when you mention him. It's out of order, but I can't help it. Anyway, Ivan Toney is the third one. Spoke about him the other day. A couple of people in the comments. Someone came for me in the comments. They said, you're obsessed with Ivan Toney and Wilfried Zaha. Bro, I don't want Wilfried Zaha. We know that's long gone. Ivan Toney, for me, let me just give you my justification. I don't think Ivan Toney's some world-class player. He's not. He's not a world-class player. But you look at the striker market. Osimhen, I would love to sign Osimhen. He's going to cost you 130, 140 million, right? And huge, huge wages. Are Arsenal going to go to those numbers? And this is Napoli. This ain't pay this over 5 years, Klarna layaway business. You're going into mafia places, people. They'll put Edu in the boot of the car and drive him up to the mountains. So I don't see us being able to get Victor Osimhen. Ferguson's going to cost you close to 100 mil if he bags goals this year. Is he worth it on the back of one season at that age? I don't know. I like Ferguson, but I'm not sure he's a £100 million player yet. Sesko looks good. Haven't seen enough of him yet, though. Is he better than Gabriel Jesus? Maybe, maybe not. I just think Ivan Toney is within a price bracket. He knows the Prem. He's physical. He's strong. He's the only striker that I've honestly seen bully William Saliba in the Premier League. And he's hungry, you know, because he's come the long way round, people. So I just think that's a certified hold-up, strong striker that fits the financial profile. They want 80. You negotiate, you get him for 70, 65. So to me, that one makes the most sense. I'm not saying he's the best. I just think it's the easiest at that price value with the quality that he's got. Now, Mayer's saying Ollie Watkins. I don't know what it is about Ollie Watkins. I could be totally wrong on this guy. I just don't think he's that good. I honestly don't. And when you look at the goal that he scored against Arsenal last year, I probably should rate him higher because it was a fantastic goal. But I don't rate Ollie Watkins, honestly. I don't think he's not better than Gabriel Jesus for me. They paid 42 million for him. So they're going to want at least 60 to 70 million for him. He's their best striker, and they're quite well off at the moment as well, Villa, financially. So would I pay 60, 70 million for Ollie Watkins? I just can't get my head around that. A 1 year Forest is another one that a lot of people are mentioning. Again, I don't know if I'm a little bit snobby when it comes to players sometimes. Like, a 1 year is another one of them. Like, he's in really good form at the moment. He's scored against United, scored against Arsenal. I just don't know if he's an Arsenal level player. Sometimes a player does well at a certain level because the pressure and expectation isn't so much. I don't know if a 1 year could perform at Arsenal. I don't think he's technically good enough. I could be totally wrong. He's definitely a problem when you play against Forest. I just think that the level we're trying to aim for, we're trying to catch Man City. I don't think a 1 year bridges that gap. But listen, feel free, throw some opinions in there. But Charles Watt saying Arsenal will go big for a striker in the next couple of windows. Raul said Big C is very snobby towards 90% of players. I'll admit to it, Raul. I'm snobby. I don't want no half decent player. Because I just don't think you can catch Man City. When you talk about Manchester City, you're talking about a team that's just won the treble. I've only seen two teams do that in my lifetime in the Premier League. I think there is only two. Them and Man United. That's how good they are. That's how high the level's been set. You are not catching Manchester City with half decent players. It's not enough. You need game changers that take you up to the next level. That's the only way you're going to get them, in my opinion. But listen, if we get these guys in and they work, I'm willing to eat more humble pie, people. There could be a lot of humble pie in there, but I hope there is. I hope there's a whole heap of pie in there. But we'll see. SG said those positive bots from Twitter will big up Vinay. Yeah, they will. They'll say, he always helped turn things around with Arteta. Nah, bun that. Say it as it is. He's been below average, and that's putting it politely. Big up Football Capo. Man is pooky when he shows up at your front door at 4 a.m. I'm telling you, saying the knock's different. Man, Timo pooky business. Big up Football Capo, man. I hope you're well, bro. Anyway, let's move on, people. Has this press conference been put on the website yet? Because the press conference was only just before the show. Oh yeah, it's on there. Right, let's get into it. If you're peckish, get the syrup ready, people. It's that time. Coman music. Mickey Rose, the boss. Rose, that's my nickname. All smiles as he plays against Everton. His old club. Even he knows. Do you know what? I'm just trying to work out. That ain't a normal smile. Now, I'm guessing, I could be totally wrong, by that little quiff there, is that David Raya? Like, that smile, I feel like that's David Raya. I could be totally wrong. It could be someone totally different. It might not be David Raya, actually, because he's wearing the burgundy top, which I think only the staff wear. I was going to say, if he's smiling at David Raya like that, I feel sorry for Ramsdale. That's the look of somebody that's about to be selected for the next game. Big up my brother Broads in the chat as well. He saw Havertz score a sitter. Yeah, maybe. Maybe in training he's been on fire. Cuesta, yeah, it probably is. It looks like a staff member's shirt. Dre said it's one of his co-men. But anyway, let's skip through this waffle. Quick light lunch for the community. If he's waffling on, we're skipping through it. By the way, Arsenal got Pusha T promoting merch. It's unbelievable. It really is. It's a shame the merch looks exactly the same as the third kit. That's all I can say. They just ripped off the sponsor and put the same thing out. I mean, I've heard of recycling, but you're taking the mick. They brought the same shirt out again with no sponsor on it and brought it out as a new kit and put Pusha T in it and expected me to buy it again. I mean, I think it's fire that they got Pusha T wearing the merch, but that's the same damn kit as the third kit. It's crazy. Anyway, 43 phases of waffle, people. Nyamming waffles, sipping syrup, toffees for Sunday. Brunch, please, with that Codeman music. Let's go. Big up, Elliot. Anyway, I might just rip the sponsor off it and just say I bought the new Pusha T merch. It's inflation. It's real out here, people. You got to be careful. Electricity's through the roof right now. You got to turn them plugs off before you go to bed. Trust me, people. That's my one bit of advice for today. Switch them plugs off. Inflation is real. There's no reason to leave that TV on at night. Trust me on that one, people. It's serious out here. You got to look after the money. Everything's going up right now. But anyway, let's get into the waffle. On players returning from international duty, and if they're okay for the weekend, he said, all good. They all came back well and trained today, so they're in a good place. On Thomas Partey's fitness, he said he's still a few weeks away. He got a muscle injury, and he's progressing well, but he's still a few weeks away. Could we possibly get Partey back for the Manchester City game, which is the last game before the international break that's coming up in October? So can we get him back? Right, let's skip through this. I'm hoping that they're just short questions. On other availability for Sunday, said the rest are available. On Saka's Achilles niggle, he said he's fine. He trained normally today, so nothing to report here. Every player has pains or issues. That's normal in elite sports, but nothing to worry about. Now, that's fantastic news. As you can see from this show, I said that Arsenal was sweating on the fitness of Saka. Now, I do want to say, though, with this Saka thing, apparently This has been happening since the end of last season. Saka gets pain in his Achilles. Now, anything to do with your Achilles is a problem. I was always told two of the worst injuries that you can have in football are your ligaments in your knee and your Achilles. They're two of your worst injuries that you can get. Now, apparently, he's been having pain in his Achilles since the end of last season. No surprise. He plays that much football, So what I will say, Mikel, you have got to manage him properly. Because all I see with Saka is 90 minutes, 90 minutes, 90 minutes. He's having a terrible game, 90 minutes. He looks shattered, 90 minutes. He's limping, 90 minutes. Never takes him off. Give the man a break. If we're winning a game comfortably, get him off the pitch. The Achilles is a problem. You've got to manage it. You can't keep... Now we're in the Champions League as well. It's not like the Europa League where you can go, oh, we're only playing, Bodo Glimt or whatever they were called, and we can rest him. No, you're playing Champions League, so you've got to manage this guy properly. So, but fortunately, it's fine. He'll be available for this weekend, but he's got an Achilles issue. Everton, very physical game. He's playing against Ashley Young this weekend, who hopefully should be able to rip him apart. Could Bossard play right mid? Maybe. I always think Trossard, Martinelli, Smith-Rowe, they can all go on the right, but don't look as good on the right. Maybe Nelson, but I do think we need a right winger, definitely. On Odegaard's contract, he said he's our captain. He's a massive player, really important for now and the future. We're happy to have him. We want to keep him for a long time. I'm optimistic. We have a really good relationship with him and his agent. We are really close to them, and whatever's confirmed, we'll announce it. On the excitement for the next few weeks, including the Champions League, Everton and the North London Derby, we play against Tottenham next Sunday, people. Massive game. Said, I'm excited about it. First Everton is the only one that we have in our mind. Our record speaks for itself. In the last 6 years, we haven't won at Goodison Park. 6 years, people, without beating Everton, who've been one of the worst teams in the Prem in the last couple of years. 6 years, man. This is a bogey team for us. Like I said, this is the last time that we will play. This is the last time that we will play against Everton at Goodison Park in the Premier League. This atmosphere is going to be electric. Make no mistake about it. Their fans are going to be going crazy. They haven't won a game this season. We're going to have to earn it. We know we're going to have to be at our best to beat them. It's something that we haven't managed to do, so that's where we're going to start. I'm looking forward to Everton away. He said, obviously, I have a big emotional attachment to that club, the way they treated me and the years that I spent there. Incredible memories. So always grateful. It was a big part of my playing career. Now as a coach, I have to play against them. Obviously, I want to beat them. Listen, we ain't interested in the emotional attachment. Go there, slap them up, have a bottle of wine afterwards with Daishi if you need to. I'm planning to have success in this game. He said, we've been here and before I came in grounds that for 17 years we hadn't won, and we've done it. So it's just understanding the importance and what we lacked. On how much he's been able to do with the returning internationals, he said, today is the first time we could do a little bit. Some players, it was match day -2 as well. So just managing that, we knew that from the start. Don't try to give too much information, especially after 10 days away. All of Arsenal's players come back from international duty injury-free, which is obviously good. And Ketia didn't play a minute for England. Saka played the first game, came on in the second. I believe Gabriel Magalhaes played both games for Brazil. So he obviously travelled the furthest, him and Gabriel Jesus and Gabriel Martinelli with the Brazil squad. So great news that everyone's come back. Remember Bolton at the Reebok? You're absolutely spot on. Every time we used to go there, Kevin Davis would be swinging elbows in people's face. JJ Okocha would be flicking it over people's head. Anelka was there. Djorkaeff. We could not beat Bolton for years after year after year. Sam Allardyce would always get the better of Wenger at the Reebok. Yeah, but I think Everton are there to be beaten this time. I really do. I know in previous years I've probably thought we would beat them, and we haven't. But I think this Everton team is so bad. And, our confidence should be high. We beat Man United in our last game there's no reason for us not to go there and roll them over. Start Jesus on the right, says Boston. I think he could play there, potentially go there. BB Gardner, man, you know that, DV. Let's go through the waffle quickly anyway on how quickly Declan Rice has settled in and become a fan favourite. He said, yeah, obviously you always hope the transition will be smooth and fast. Then sometimes the reality is different. In this case, I think it's been really positive. He's finding it really easy. I think he understood the team and our way of playing really fast, and things are going really well for him. On Vinay stepping away, he's been here 14 years. I think he has the right to make that call. He's made that call. He thinks it's the best thing for him, for his future and his family. For what I can say from my side, I had a great working relationship with him. I enjoy it. He's a person, first of all, that I value, who's been integral in what we've done, and I want to wish him the best. But I think he still has a lot of things to do in the meantime until the end of the season. If I speak, I'm suspended 6 months, people. So we'll leave it. I think I've said more than enough about my opinion of Vinay. I won't be, there will be no tears shed for him moving on. In fact, I'd say why wait until the end of the season. But anyway, let's move on. On how much playing Champions League games will test the team. He said it's exactly the same as last year. We played every 3 days, but it was the Europa League. Competition is different. So, well, you could say it's not the same then, couldn't you? Because, it's a higher level competition. Yeah, he's a person. I wasn't sure, I was going to make a point of that where he said, Vinay, he's a person. Obviously, he says first of all, but, it sounds really funny. I actually thought he was a Pokemon. I wasn't sure which one, but, I thought he was a Pokemon trying to evolve. He's definitely not Charizard, that's for sure. He's one of the best ones. But yeah, he's a person. I wasn't too sure, actually. A bit of a fraud, in my opinion. But anyway, obviously the demands and expectations are different. We've been away for 7 years, but it's excitement. It's where you want to be when you look at the fixtures, the games. I think everyone's looking forward to it. Obviously, we play PSV in the Champions League on Wednesday. We're going to hear the music. I'm going to be singing it. Curtis Vekasham for CEO. Do not compare me to him. I have won many titles on Football Manager and FIFA. I'm convinced Vinay couldn't even win a title on Football Manager. So I would like to think that I'm a level above that fraud. But anyway, yeah, he ain't no Charizard. Definitely not a Charizard. Definitely not. Raichu, probably. There we go. We'll call him Raichu. Jesus hat-trick coming up. He'd never scored against United before. He's going to be on fire. He's a rubbish Pokemon who hasn't evolved for 14 years. There you go. That's the best way to round it up. He couldn't evolve. He's been throwing that ball, but he can't evolve, On Pepe leaving, he said, obviously, these are sad moments for players, not only for him, but Rob Holding leaving. All our players who have left, who have gone on loan as well, we have an emotional attachment. You've tried to get the best out of them, but there are periods, and sometimes it's not about the will of the player. It's a player that plays in his position that does so well. Could be talking about Saka there. There are many factors, but we certainly want to wish them all of the best. Hopefully they can fulfill the dream somewhere else. Doesn't mention Pepe's name once in that reply. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but, I think I don't think he was a particularly big fan of Pepe. On whether there's more pressure now that the squad is mostly his hand-picked signings, I don't think the pressure is going to be bigger than what we put on ourselves internally every day. Regardless, when you have the players that you have, you made a decision to coach them. They are not my players. They are players from the club, and the team evolves. The squad evolves, and if you are here for many years, that will happen like any other sport. Man said they are not my players. Man said they are not my players. That is quality. So if it goes wrong, man said they're not my players. They're the club's players. You bought them, fellow. They are your players. So you're not getting out of it like that. You can't trick me with that, trying to be smart here. Man said Vinay. Vin AI. I love that one. That's quality. Definitely some artificial intelligence. Young Gunner said, I swear if this man starts talking about roadmaps, big up yourself. Well, we haven't had roadmaps yet, but he did tell us that Vinay is a person, so that's breaking news. Trixie said, Havertz, Roof, what we see Arteta doesn't want, so we can sit and big up all these players, but it proves he doesn't buy like City. We aren't City, bless. You've hit the nail on the head there. Dane said, I'm apologising for my previous outburst. Arteta did say 43 formations. You are not a weirdo. Arsenal need to win against Everton this weekend. Big up. Don't worry. Apology accept. We keep it moving. Dane said, you're a weirdo. He didn't say 43 formations. There was an outburst. And we had a bit of banter. And he's come back with an apology. So fair enough. I appreciate it, bro. E. Ross said, Curtis, I'm getting bored of Thomas Partey. Time to go. You either sell him or you downgrade him to a squad player. It's as simple as that. I'm bored of Thomas Partey as well. I've got to be honest. Too injury prone. So breaking news, people. I'm not a weirdo. So thank you very much for that one. Dear. We're figuring out all sorts. Vinay's a person. And I'm not a weirdo. So thank you very much. We're making progress. Anyway, let's continue through this waffle, people. Let's not get sidetracked. And by the way, Arteta's just said, this team, they are not my players. So breaking news, yellow ticker on Sky. They are not my players, says Arteta. On whether we can match Everton in a physical battle, he said, sometimes you cannot avoid a battle. There are certain times you have to do this, and their style of play is very clear. They are simply good at it. We have a different style. When you're let's get through it. On lessons to learn from Pepe signing, he said, I don't know. I wasn't involved in the process. What I can say about him as a person is he's a phenomenal boy. He tried really hard. It's not his fault the amount of money that we paid at the time, and that's it. When things are not working on, you have to move on. There's no point trying when something is not working, and that decision has been made, and I think it benefits all parties. Whew. Wow. Pretty strong there. He said, it ain't working, man. You got to go, bro. You got to go. No, I noticed nobody's asked him about Havertz in this press conference. I bet they're banned. Honestly, when we went into the press conference, we were briefed on basically the lady from the press comes over and says, what is the question you're planning to ask? And you tell her, and she basically gives you the nod or not, whether that's acceptable or not. So if you're going in there today going, right, Mikel, mate, Kai Havertz, is it time to drop him? They're probably saying, no, you can't ask that question. Do you know what I mean? And so I did see it's very, very clicky in these press conferences. Michael said, afternoon, Curtis, at the train station in Lisbon, Northern Ireland, going to Port Rush for the weekend. Enjoy, bro. Track Former said, at the gym, time for cardio, was open for some Big C. Big up, bro. South London's finest. Side note, Big C, seeing as you were singing area codes, you should watch Warren G's interview on Drink Champs. I'll lock into it. I always like the Drink Champs interview, man. Nori's always entertaining. On that note, what's Havertz's excuse? Bro, you can clearly see from this press conference, doesn't look like there's any questions about him. On Pepe leaving before the end of his contract, he said every case has been very different. In the end, it is a few parties who have to agree. It's not a decision I take alone. On deciding the leadership group, he said, it's not a decision we've made formal or public. We have many leaders in this squad. We have a captain, is Martin. You've seen in the last few games in the pre-season. When there are changes, you have a number 2 and 3. On who would be 2 and 3 behind Martin in that group, he said, you will see when we play. That is relatively short waffle for Arteta pre-game, by the way. Usually he goes a lot further than that. So I'm quite happy that that's done and dusted because, you know, that waffle is not what you want to hear, to be honest. But anyway, we got through it. That's enough of the Cone Man music. Let's focus ahead. Let's look ahead. Everton. This weekend, Super Sunday, 4:30 kickoff. I'll be live at 3:30 on Sunday for the watch-along. We're back in business. Let's have a look at the opponents. They are, at the moment, they are one of the worst teams in the Premier League. I think they will have a relegation battle on their hands. I think they're in big, big trouble this season. The only way I think they will survive is because potentially the 3 promoted clubs could be even worse than them. But Everton, they are stinking out the gaff at the moment. But they seem to be able to, you know, figure out how to turn up when we turn up. You know, Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. Arsenal just turn up and just hand out gifts to Everton every year. I don't understand it. Just turn up and handle business. This Everton team's rubbish. They are terrible. They drew with Sheffield United. They lost to Fulham. They are awful. But you just know, don't you, on Sunday afternoon, Doucouré's going to be like Yaya Toure. You know, Onana's going to be like Patrick Vieira. This Beto up front's going to look like Romario. Ashley Young's going to look like Dani Alves. You know, Tarkowski's going to look like, you know, prime Tony Adams. And Pickford's going to look like, you know, Gianluigi Buffon. You can see it happening. If we are going to win a title or even challenge for a title, there is no excuse. I don't accept any excuse. None. I don't care if they're physical. I don't care if they press from the front. You should be beating this team, right? They should be. Don't forget they're being sold. Yeah, they're being sold. I don't think the takeover is going to be complete until December. So, all right, listen, Romario, I always say this. When I was a kid, young striker, very young kid, I used to watch videos, not even DVDs, people. This is how you know I'm getting on. Videos, you know, fast forward, rewind, all of that business. I used to watch videos of Romario. He's probably the first striker that I watched and sort of studied him. He's in my opinion, one of the best strikers to ever play the game. You hear very few people talk about Romario, which I never understood why. But yeah, what a finisher he was. But Curtis, it's raining. Well, yeah, maybe it'll rain on Sunday. That could be Ty's excuse. But listen, I'm not giving this team any excuse. If you're serious, you go there, you turn up, and you beat them. It's as simple as that. I don't care if they've got Black Lives Matter in midfield. You know, the rest of their team, even if that midfield's there, bop the ball around them. You know, and we need to handle business. So no excuses for Arsenal. Obviously, we scroll to the top where we should be. Chelsea's still on page 2 with Man United, by the way. They're both on page 2. So that's, you know, LOL and all of that. But let's get higher. And by the way, Man City play West Ham away this weekend. So do we have a glimmer of hope? Bowen, Antonio, Paqueta at the London Stadium. You know, if City roll them over, they're starting to click already, you know. Second top scorers, only 2 conceded. But listen, 4 wins, 3 victories, 1 draw. We shouldn't have drew that game. Does Arteta set us up the right way? What team do you put out for this game to beat this Everton team? Because we know what kind of game they're going to give us. And on one hand, it's kind of like I would like to see Fabio Vieira get rewarded with a game and a start, but I'm just not sure if this is the game that I would start him, if I'm being honest. Now, he started against Brentford away last year and he had one of his best games. And Brentford, you know, I remember Klopp saying Brentford are one of the most physical teams in the league to play. I'm just not sure I would use this for Vieira. Despite the 2 substitute appearances. For me, I would either play, if you're going to play in that attacking role, I genuinely would give Trossard a game. I would. I think Trossard can play in that 8 role. Otherwise, I would play Jorginho as a natural centre mid next to Declan Rice to give us that extra bit of stability, and I would go with Odegaard in the attacking midfield role. Let's actually get a team up. And give me your opinions on what team you would pick. I think the majority of the team picks itself. Now, let's go for 4-2-3-1, which is what we played the majority of last season. Now, he's got a big decision to make in goal. It's David Raya's birthday today, by the way, 28 years of age. Do you give him an early birthday present? I think David Raya eventually will get in this team. I'm going to be honest. I would stick with Ramsdale. Ramsdale played for England midweek. His confidence should be quite high. I don't think he's done enough wrong to get dropped. I do think Raya will get his chance. But I would stick with Ramsdale. I think when you go into a very difficult away ground, stability is needed. And I don't think that's the game to change your goalkeeper. So I would stick with Ramsdale. Some people may think this is the time to put Raya in, but he may play in the Champions League midweek. Centre-back, Gabriel Magalhaes, again, should be confident. Played 2 games for Brazil. You know, he should be feeling great about himself. And Saliba's first game for France was all right. The second one was not so good. And obviously, Benjamin White at right back, who hopefully will sign a new deal. And then you got to go with Zinni. Although I've got to admit that what I saw of Zinchenko against England for Ukraine, he needs some game time in midfield this season. I'm telling you now, Zinchenko is probably, he's up there as one of our best midfielders on the ball, in possession. He's fantastic. He was playing against a midfield of Bellingham, Rice. I forget who the other one was. Was it Henderson? Obviously not as good. Zinchenko was balling. Now, is Kivior good enough to play left back in the Prem? Maybe Tomiyasu. Zinchenko eventually needs some game time in midfield. He is class in midfield. Pure class. I suppose what Arteta would say, start him at left back, you still get him into midfield with the inverted, and then you create an overload there. You know, rather than actually starting him in midfield and then having a conventional left back. I don't know. Play Zinni ahead of Havertz? Possibly. I thought he looked brilliant there. Mike said I'd go for Tomiyasu at left back for the physicality. He bossed it against Germany. Fair enough. I'm trying to think, like, who will be playing for Everton in like the wide areas. It'll be Dwight McNeil. I honestly, I don't know a lot about this Everton team. Now Damari Gray's gone and Iwobi's gone. Who do they actually play out wide? I'm just going to have a look at Everton's last game to see who did they even play in the wide areas. Because at the moment, I don't even know who they're picking. So Everton's last game was a 2-2 draw with Sheffield United. And they played Ghana. Oh, Danjuma. Danjuma played out wide. Danjuma and Dwight McNeil. Danjuma's quite lively, to be honest. Yeah, they've got Harrison as well. He's injured he's back in training, actually. Harrison's not bad. The Leeds winger. So they do have options. They've got Danjuma, Harrison, Dwight McNeil. They played Idrissa, Anana and Decore in midfield. Beto up front. Ashley Young. Ashley Young needs to get absolutely ripped to shreds by Saka. He needs to rip him apart, honestly. And they've got Beto up front, who looks quite lively. They paid 30 million for him, Brazilian. So they've got a couple of dangerous players, I can't lie. Danjuma is up front for Everton. Him or Beto will be up front. Iwobi's gone to Fulham. Anyway, let me continue with this team. So yeah, for me, I mean, I think you either go with this, if I could even spell his name right. I think you either go with this for the stability, because make no mistake about it, this is going to be a battle. This is going to be an absolute battle. And I think Jorginho's calmness and quality on the ball next to Rice for the physicality, then Odegaard, I think would benefit us. You then obviously go Saka, go and rip Ashley Young apart. You then play Martinelli. I mean, that'll either be Patterson or Seamus Coleman. I mean, Seamus Coleman and Ashley Young as your fullbacks. I mean, they must be about 137 between them. And I don't know what anyone thinks about this, but I think Gabriel Jesus has to start. Now, I know Eddie's done well, but ultimately Gabriel Jesus is the main man. He went away with Brazil for international duty, scored one of my favourite goals of the season against United. I think Diego Dallo's still sliding down the Thames. That would potentially be my team. If he is going to go with the kind of 4-3-3 with maybe 2 attacking midfielders, then what I would do, honestly, I would play Trossard in that Havertz role. Because what I was seeing from Trossard in that international break, I think it's time to get this guy in the team. I almost think he's too good to be left out. Now, not everyone will agree. Saka and Martinelli have changed places, which is annoying. Not everyone will agree. A lot of people are saying give Fabio Vieira a chance, but I think Trossard's such a good player. But then is this too attacking against Everton? But Everton aren't very good. So I think you've got to play Jesus up front. I know that Eddie has done well since he's been in the team, but Jesus is still the main man. So just quickly anyway, in the comments, What sort of team would you go for? Even if you don't put the whole team, would you go with Jorginho next to Rice for that added stability? Would you stay with Rice as a lone six with two attacking midfielders? If so, you're going Odegaard as one of them. Who would you play the other side? Would you play Havertz? Would you play Smith Rowe? Would you play Trossard? Would you play Fabio Vieira? And would you play Gabriel Jesus, or would you play would you play Eddie Nketiah? Anthony said Eddie's done okay, but I think some within our fan base may have elevated his performances this season, especially after the England call-up. Got to start Jesus, Zinni or Trossard for Havertz. Yeah, listen, Eddie's done well. He's improved. He's still not the answer. If Jesus is fit and available, he's the number one. He's got to start. Hardly says play Havertz. Jay Muller said, Curtis, the team is spot on, I think. We also have ESR who deserves a chance, says JPE. So happy the Prem is back. I'm over the moon, bro. It's been horrible. Bleck says J20. So he wants to go for Jorginho's experience. Big up Anthony, who's a member of the chat. I think he was a member before anyway, right? Maybe renewed. Big up yourself. He's also done a super chat. It's crazy that Goodison Park is our top 5 bogey grounds in the Prem. Anfield, the Etihad, Old Trafford, White Hart Lane and Goodison. Madness. Romario was R9's GOAT. He was the trendsetter. Listen, I've been to Goodison. It's lively. Let me tell you, it's an old school ground. When it gets rocking, it rocks, you know, and usually they're physical, they're direct. It goes against what a lot of the top teams try and do, that pretty passing football. It's, you know, it's the kryptonite, if you like. Bleck said Vieira will get bullied in that midfield at Everton. That would be my worry. Mr. Mardo said, I will play Nelson as an 8, not Havertz or Trossard. We need legs and physical presence on that left side. Arteta will still play Havertz. Nelson in the 8 role. Interesting. Kamal said start Eddie Sunday, Jesus for the Champions League and North London Derby rotation. Good point, but I think you've got to focus on the game in front of you. I think if we drop points against Everton, all of a sudden that Tottenham game looks a much more difficult Premier League game. If we brush Everton or beat Everton, we're going into the North London Derby flying. Bear in mind, people, that this weekend Tottenham play Sheffield United at home. Now, no disrespect to Sheffield United, it's one of the easiest games in the Premier League. So they're going to have a confidence booster of a game on Saturday. They've got no Europe midweek. So we've got a Champions League game on Wednesday. So you are right. We are going to have to rotate. But I just feel like Jesus got to start this game. And we've got to handle this one. DF Design said, you're right. See, it's criminal that Trossard is not a regular. It's baffling. I think he has to play some more football now. Brian said, I was there when Anelka wrapped it top bins back in 06-07 when we lost to Bolton. Anelka, I've always said Anelka is one of my favourite ever Arsenal players. Strikers for sure. He doesn't really get spoken about by Arsenal fans. I think it's probably because he played for half the Premier League. So nobody sort of sees Anelka as their player because he played for everyone. You know, he's at Chelsea, at Liverpool, Bolton. I think he played for West Brom. You know, he was at Man City as well. But yeah, Anelka was serious. The little, you know, celebration. What a player. Lasuk. We sold him and bought Henry and built the training ground. So, you know, you've always got to be thankful for what Anelka did. He led to us signing Thierry Henry and did up the training ground. Elliot said, need an Everton win for an easier North London derby. We need to beat Everton on Sunday. Handle business, no injuries. Champions League on Wednesday. Maybe then you rotate a couple of players to save legs. PSV are not as good as they were last season. They've lost Gakpo. They've lost Xavi Simons. They're a team that we should be beating in the Champions League. And then it's the North London Derby next Sunday. But listen, let's concentrate on Everton this weekend. It will be a tough game. Big up to everyone locked in. Thank you very much for tuning in. We've been live for, nearly an hour and 10 minutes. Waffle settings has been done. Tomorrow, I mean, there isn't really a particularly big game. 3 o'clock, it's West Ham Man City. could possibly do a watch along for that if we can find a stream for it. So keep your notifications on. Hopefully YouTube won't do me dirty. If not, it will be 3:30. I go live on Sunday for a 4:30 kickoff. Everton against Arsenal. Big game, must-win game for the Gunners. Thank you very much for tuning in. Enjoy your Friday. Take care, people, and I'll see you over the weekend, people. Bless.